welcome back to Plot of Veg. As you can see, we're not at the allotment today because it's raining and it's really cold, and whilst I can do raining or cold, I don't really do both together. It's just not that much fun. So I'm going to show you my little grow house setup behind me. This is in the old, what was like the laundry. We've got kind of a 1950s council house, so it's got an old laundry building which is kind of an unheated brick sort of shed out the side of our house which is a bit damp and not really that useful for storing stuff. So what I've done instead is I've made a little grow house in here, and with grow lights and stuff, because it has actually been there's electricity to here, so that's pretty good, right? It's not super light, so I have grow lights, as you can see. These are the Sunblaster ones. Hang on, I've got the package. Turns out I don't have the package, but I'll find the make of them and put it on the screen in case anyone is interested. But I quite like them. They're not super expensive. They're about, well, they're not cheap, but they're I think it's about 20 to 30 quid for the little one, and then like 40 to 50 for the big one. I know, okay, that's not cheap, but in terms of grow lights, you get quite a lot of space with this big one. What I did find last year was that my plants were kind of, because it's only one band of light down the side, the plants were kind of tilting in towards it. So I'm thinking I'm going to try and find something shiny to put on the sides of this to kind of reflect the light, whether that's just tin foil maybe, or something a bit more sturdy. I'm not quite sure yet, but we'll try that out. As you can see, this is just some industrial shelving. I was given this by my friend who was basically getting rid of it. She owns a shop and she was upgrading her shelves to something more sturdy, but this is fine for my seedlings. I've got 2 shelves. I probably could, if I wanted to, try and get like a 3rd shelf at the top, but I wouldn't then be able to reach it, so that's not much point. And it's just standing on some like a sideboard that we already had. What this allows me to do is to have a bit more space to start seedlings, because I don't have a greenhouse, so I need somewhere that is frost free, in that kind of tricky bit between sort of April, May, where I might have another frost because I'm in East Yorkshire and our last frost date is kind of mid-May. So this is where my tomato plants go when they're kind of not babies anymore, really, when they're kind of decent sized plants, kind of getting to the size of plants where you buy them at the garden centre. This is where they go. By that time, it's not going to get super cold in here anyway. We're not going to have a frost in here. I do have a little greenhouse heater to help me out. Yes, it's on. It's still working. I've just brought everything out here today to test it and make sure everything's working, and I'm very happy that it is, because I don't want to have to replace stuff. So I've got a little greenhouse heater, which doesn't do a huge amount of heat, but actually inside here I found that it was keeping it about sort of 10 degrees, so that was pretty good. I did have a thermometer, but it's broken, so I'm going to get a new one. And then this is just bubble wrap that I put around. I bought it from a local garden centre. They do like a big roll, so you can get like a big amount together, and I just wrapped it up, and this comes down. I probably need to redo the masking tape this year, but this comes down to kind of keep them all toasty warm. It's just secured with masking tape and these big clips, which are they're called like beach towel clips. I think you can get them on Amazon. And they're so good because they're really like nice big clips, and they go kind of round a pole or round a thing really well. So they'll clip this. Hang on, I put my coffee down. They will go around here really easily and just clip it on. Really nice. But yeah, as you can see, the masking tape is a bit old now because I've had this up for a couple of years and I need to redo it, or like make it more permanent maybe, because I wasn't quite sure at the time whether I was going to have this permanently. Okay, I also have, which I've turned everything on to make sure whether it's working. I'm not convinced. Oh yeah, no, that is just about. This was a very cheap little propagator from B&Q. You can see it's not huge, but it does the job. It doesn't give a huge amount more heat, only about sort of 5 degrees, but it's quite nice to have a little propagator out here because I generally start things inside on the windowsill in there, where obviously I'm not having to put as much heat behind them, and then I'll move them out here. It's quite nice as like a little extra stage so that they don't have a shock moving out here. Or I can start things here that don't actually need as much heat, so I could start I'll probably put my broad beans in there just to give them a little bit of heat, a little bit extra heat to start them off. My do that today, might do that tomorrow, I'm not sure. I also wanted to, I have a variety of like, I quite like a module tray. I'm not really a fan of seed trays. I don't really know why, personal preference, but I've got like little module trays. I bought these from, I think, Asda for like £3 for 10, I think. I'm not saying, like, that's a really nice, easy way, like a cheap way to start off. If you're not sure whether you want to do gardening and you just want to like try it out and see what's going to happen, that is a really nice way to start it off. But they are not particularly sturdy. I'm going to reuse these, but I'm not sure how many years I'm really going to get out of them. They're not brilliant, but they'll do the job. I've also got, this was better, it was free. So this is an old grape, grapes were in this, and you can see that some of the fruit things have actually got holes in them. I don't know if you can see that on there, but they have little holes in the bottom of the packets, the fruit containers. So they're really good if you don't want to think. There's another one that's got a little hole, any sort of plastic container that's got little holes already drilled in it, I will save and keep for seeds. So they were free. These are slightly more sturdy ones, but I bought them second hand, but they go in a windowsill propagator, so I've got one of these much longer that's inside the house at the moment, and these will sit in it really nicely, and they're just a bit more sturdy than plastic, so I think they're going to last a bit longer, and they each have their own little, I quite like they each have their own little hat, because it means that I can, the ones that are still, because you want to keep this hat on when they're kind of germinating, but you don't always want to have it when the seeds are out because they can get too damp. So I really like that we've got like little individual ones, so some of them can have hats and some of them can not have hats at the same time. This is really lovely. But yes, I haven't used this one yet. I bought it second hand at the end of last growing season, so we'll see how that works. But yeah, this is my little setup at the moment. I think it needs a few repairs. Some of the bulb wrap's coming off, and I do want to see if I can do anything around the edges to make it more reflective. I have got another thing I'm going to show you, is I've got a timing thing. I've got a couple of these little timing switches, which you can buy really, like they're about £5 each, they're not pricey. And that means that I can put the plug for these lights in it, and I don't have to come turn them on and off. It's worth £5 to me basically, so that's good. Another thing I didn't mention about the Sun Blaster lights is they're really good because they fit together, so there's only actually one plug controlling the whole one. They plug together here, so this plug is going into this light, and then that's the plug that goes actually into the socket here. So you can tail them, which is really convenient because then I only need one of these, and they all do it at the same time. It's really nice. That's my little setup. I'm going to go and get some compost. This is the one time of year where I still buy seed compost, because I find if I use my own compost, I do a lot of seed starting with in the house. I mean, it's full of life, it's full of, good things, but we don't want those in the house necessarily, so I tend to buy seed compost because that tends to be more sterile. But I'm trying something new this year, and I'm going to try and mix my own seed compost mix, because I'm getting increasingly frustrated. I buy peat-free compost mixes, but I'm finding that they are really unreliable, and even if you buy the same brand, you don't always get the same mix, or it doesn't react the same with water, and that is really frustrating me and making it quite hard to do seedlings. So what I've got this year is I've got a range of different composts, which I'll show you in a minute. They're all ones that tell you exactly what's actually in the packet. I've tried them individually before as just using that compost, and there's been some problems. So I'm hoping by mixing different ones together, which have slightly different issues, that I'll be able to make something that will work for my seeds. I'm not saying you should follow me. This is completely an experiment. I have no idea if it's going to work, but let's try it this year, because why not? And we'll see how it goes. I'm hopeful. So yes, I'm going to go and get my compost, and I will show you what I've got. This is the Dalefoot wool compost. This is the one for seeds, so it's got slightly smaller particles. I have used this before, just on its own, and actually I find it's a bit rich. I've pulled some out into a little thing so I can show you. You can see it's got quite big particles, but it's kind of squishes together. It's supposed to be a good thing, but it's not very damp. just tend to cling together and squid. I'm not an expert, so it might just be a bit rich, but also I found that when it dries out, which it does if you're in a propagator, I found that the top was drying out and the bit underneath was still wet, so it was really hard to tell what the moisture content of the seeds were, and it was kind of forming a little crust on top. So yeah, I wasn't 100% with this, but it is really rich. Seeds don't really need that much richness, that much nutrients when they're tiny. They only really need that once they've kind of used up the energy that's already in the seed. So for germination, you don't need something this rich. But then if I'm keeping stuff in pots a bit longer, like I will be with my tomatoes, for a month or so, I probably do need some nutrients. This is quite good. So the second pot compost I've tried is the this is Morning Gold. This is a reclaimed peat compost. So it is peat, but it's been reclaimed from the more, they filter out the systems or something. So it's a peat compost, but it's approved by the Soil Association, and it's supposed to be a much better way of getting your peat. You're not digging it out of peat bogs. It behaves like peat, as you'd expect. So it's really fine, really crumbly. It really holds the water well. But it's really expensive. So using just this for your seedlings, it's just expensive, and I'd like to find some more. I'd like to mix it with other things to find a better option, really. So we've got the peaty one, which is the Morning Gold. We've got the wool compost, which is composted wool, which is kind of like, it's a strange texture. It feels almost sticky. It feels very rich, but I don't know. I'm just feeling it. I'm not actually a scientist. Then we have, because I want something to kind of bulk that out and give it a bit more air in the soil, because the roots need nutrients, but they also need air. I'm not 100% sure why, but we'll go with it, okay? We have, from last year, perlite. It's kind of lots of little balls, like that. So it's really, really, really light. Almost, the closest thing is probably packing peanuts, but it's obviously not made out of plastic. It's really fine, it's really light. It just adds it's kind of crumbly, it just adds air. It's not adding any nutrients at all, but it's adding space in your compost and preventing things from getting waterlogged as easily. We also have vermiculite, which is a similar kind of product, and it adds air, but it also holds water more than perlite. So this one is kind of also to keep you, sorry, vermiculite. This one is also to kind of keep the water in, and the kind of slow release of water. Then we have growhouse. Yeah, I probably could have bought this cheaper, I'll be honest, but I just wanted to get everything done while I could. So I bought it from the houseplant section, but it does feel really nice, and it's really quite fibrous. But again, no nutrients in here. This is just added to kind of add space to your compost and allow the roots to breathe. So I'm hoping that I've got two very rich composts that are actually compost, and a number of things that are not compost but kind of aerate the roots. I'm hoping I can find a sort of mix that works. Let me give it a go and see what it feels like. But I'm not going, yeah, we'll see what happens. So in a totally scientific way, I'm basically going to mix this together until it feels right. Okay, so that's a mix. I think it's got slightly more of Dale's foot in there than the Morning Gold, but it's feeling nice. It's squidging, but yeah, it's breaking very easily, which is kind of what I want. I don't want it to hold its shape too much, but so next, I'm going to try a little bit of this cocoa coir stuff. Because it's got quite big lumps in it. I don't know whether I should use this or not, but I'm trying to mix a little bit in. I think I might have some finer stuff somewhere actually. Yeah, this has got very big bits. It's not going to be great for seeds, is it? Yeah, I bought the wrong stuff. Okay, let's see if I can find some better stuff. Okay, so this is a block which is supposed to rehydrate, and it does need rehydrating. I can't do anything with it. So let's just do that quickly. Yeah. Hang on, this is cocoa husk that I bought. It's not cocoa coir. That might be fine. What was I going to use it for? I was going to use it for some broad beans. Now, broad beans broad beans are hardy, so they'll be fine outdoors, but they won't germinate outdoors yet. So what I was going to do is use this nice deep pot, because I don't want to buy root trainers. I haven't bought any root trainers yet. I'm going to use this nice deep pot. That was a grape thing. So I'm going to use this nice deep pot here to put some broad beans in. So yes, let's go get my broad bean seeds. Broad bean seeds, here we go. We've got these ones from Real Seeds, or we'll get them ratio broad bean. That's be feeling fancy when I bought these seeds. To say so, late Feb, mid-April, so I'm disobeying there. It doesn't say a particular depth, so I'm not going to worry too much about it. But I know I bought them because they're short plants, about 2 foot tall, so they don't grow too tall. They're not going to get some wind blown. I don't have to worry about them over winter. Okay, I think we're going to. If we don't know, just pressing this down so that we get a nice firm. If we don't know how deep to plant stuff, generally I think is it twice or 3 times the depth, the size of the seed that we do it. Oops, I've just ripped that. I didn't need to do that. Yeah, I think I can. So broad bean seeds. I'm just going to try and give them a little bit of space between each one. I'm kind of aiming for rows here, aren't I? Do we get 3 in there or 4? I don't really want them to tangle up, so that it's not loads of broad beans, but I can always plant another lot later, can't I? We don't, There we go. I think that's probably all I can fit in there reasonably. And we're just going to go soil over the top. And we're going to push it down nicely. There are tools you can get to do this, but yeah. So we're just going to do that. Hopefully I've not put too much soil on top of it, but we shall find out. Way to go. Get a little bit of water. So, I've planted my little bean seeds. I'm going to give them a little drink. Normally I'd use my kids' watering bottle for this. Watering can for this. It's a bit gentle, but I don't know where it is, so I'm just going to use this and be very gentle with it. They're huge bean seeds, so they're not going to move around. It's not going to matter too much. But you can see how the soil's come down a bit. So I'm just going to give it a little bit of a press. Yeah, and we'll test the bean seeds. Aren't too fussy, so I'm going to test this soil mix out on the bean seeds. I'm going to go into this little propagator, which is a bit old and not great, so it doesn't heat up that much. And I'm going to put the bits on it. I'll give them a little bit of warmth. They're probably enough to, hopefully enough to get broad beans to grow. So thanks so much for joining me today. We've got our lovely seed mix in there. We've got some broad beans, hopefully snugly warm and ready to germinate. I'm going to take this into the house and warm it up so that hopefully I can use it to plant some chilies in a bit. I've come back to look at my beans a week later and there's no germination, but the soil is pretty good actually. So I like this compost mix. It's staying moist, it's holding moisture. but it's not crusting over like the Dale foot did when I used it just on its own. It seems good. So yeah, we just gotta wait for beans. But it's only been a week, so that's fairly okay. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon, hopefully. Thanks.